President Tinubu flags off construction of INEC Annex headquarters in Abuja.
INEC has been and remain the backbone of Nigeria's democratic journey.
Federal government to expedite infrastructure project approvals for economic growth.
When we took charge over 2 years ago, we knew that a functional relationship between the public and private sectors will be the magic wand of transformation.
Nigeria takes a step towards greener mobility with CNG initiative.
What we are doing here today is to flag off the implementation of that concessionary pricing framework.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss technical and vocational education in Nigeria, plus energy and governance.
Today, we are turning the spotlight on something Nigeria urgently needs: skills, real hands-on, job-ready skills.
That's right, Ademola. From welding to web design, technical and vocational education and training, TVET is helping young Nigerians move from learning to earning.
From learning to earning. And the idea is simple: build a workforce that is not just certified but capable, ready to meet the demands of today's industries.
Precisely, and TVET is filling the gap between classroom theory and real-world application. It's practical, it's entrepreneurial, and it's central to Nigeria's growth plan.
Government has been doing some groundwork too through the NBTE and other national initiatives. We are seeing more partnerships, updated curricula, and even digital literacy programs for teachers.
Plus, there's the National Technical Skills Acquisition Program, now one of the several targeted at bridging youth unemployment through practical training.
So today on Good Morning Nigeria, we ask, how far have we come? What's working? What needs fixing? And how can TVET truly transform the future of work in Nigeria?
We'll be hearing from policy experts, educators, and those at the heart of this shift. The young Nigerians getting trained, getting the jobs, and building businesses.
And in part 2 of the program, we are shifting gears to Nigeria's energy sector. What's the latest on the nationwide distribution of petroleum products from the Dangote refinery?
Indeed, lots to unpack. So stay with us. I am Victor, as welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And I'm Ademola Adeoye. Great to have you with us. We are live on NTA Network Service.
Well, Chukudi Okoli joins us a bit later for the newspaper review. But first, here's Stella in Namiti with the morning top stories. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning, Victor and Ademola. Here's the morning news. This democracy is not a destination, but a journey, and therefore the institutions around it must be strengthened to safeguard people's freedom and protect the future of democratic governance in Nigeria. This is the belief of President Bola Tinubu as he flagged off the construction of a new national headquarters annex for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja.
It is only right that such a pivotal institution is housed in a structure that reflects the dignity, responsibility, and national significance of that institution.
A new chapter has been opened in the public transportation sector of the FCTA with the inauguration of the bus and taxi terminal in Mabushi district. President Bola Tinubu presided over the inauguration of the newly constructed edifice.
Here, those who are drivers, so that the vehicle you are boarding to go to the other place. Assuming you want to go to Buhari, you can come here, you can go to Kubo. We know the bus that you have boarded, and even when you come from Buhari, down to this place, the taxes here will also take you to where you are going to.
Meanwhile, federal government will fast-track approvals for viable infrastructural projects in the country, highlighting the critical role of basic infrastructure for economic development. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he declared open the 2025 Nigeria Public-Private Partnerships Summit held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
Who are ready to help us bridge our infrastructure gap with purpose and precision. When we took charge over 2 years ago, we knew that a functional relationship between the public and private sectors will be the magic wand of transformation. That is what we are committed to.
The federal government of Nigeria is assuring citizens that its commitment to host the UNESCO Category 2 Media and Information Literacy Institute is to position Nigeria as a global leader in the responsible use of media and information in the digital era. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at a book launch by the Guild of Corporate Online Publishers, solicit responsible online journalism and promised government continued support to a free and responsible press.
Saying to have published something that is fake, we have this penchant to think that, oh, it's just fake news and then it goes by. What is GOCOP doing?
The federal government has officially kicked off the Mobility CNG Supply Framework, a strategic initiative aimed at promoting the use of compressed natural gas in the transportation sector. The framework, backed by the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, seeks to provide affordable, cleaner fuel alternatives for vehicles nationwide.
Approved concessionary pricing structure for autogas CNG as one of the incentives Mr. President has approved for the auto CNG sector. What we are doing here today is to flag off the implementation of that concessionary pricing framework.
And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Ademola and Victor after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Afam Bogeneka, Ebim Nagara Dimawa Village, Abuja, Nazo Afeba. So Esom Nandi register na NSR government register with my NIN. So government will use them ATM card. Njiwe wete 25,000 naira 3 times. And ega haya mketa barumulu na dem. Eji megoro makamihe. Jikweru mehendozo. Thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an impeccable personality with purposeful leadership.
Abba Abubakar Aliu, MD, CEO of Rural Electrification Agency, takes us through the gamut of activities and mandates of Rural Electrification Agency, as well as its achievements and dreams.
I really want to see that I leave a lasting legacy that can be spoken of in a very long period of time.
Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an assemblage of professionals in the media space. Some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and lots more.
Meet Professor Charles Anosike, the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, as he shares his vision in repositioning NIMET as a key player in Nigeria's climate strategy.
Get a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
At NTA Television College Jos, you will dive into exhilarating hands that will fuel your passion in education and propel your career to new heights. We don't just teach, we craft the next generation of media leaders. Explore our diverse offering, understanding the personnel matters and issues in the public service, basic development communication, financial reporting under IPSAS, and interpretation of public sector accounting standard IPSAS, audit, internal check and control management, video camera maintenance, new technologies, optics, fiber, IP technologies, automation, storage management, and wireless technology. Challenges and opportunities in the secretarial profession in the digital age. Digital marketing, basic drama, online reporting, understanding the provisions of the revised public service, audio engineering operations and maintenance, camera operations, and intermediate drama. Mark your calendar. The second quarter of 2025 is your launch pad. This is your moment to seize the future. Announcer Management.
The Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during interment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, Chukwudi Okolubaja is in the studios. Good morning, Chukwudi.
Good morning, Victor. Good to see you guys today.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Demola, good morning.
Yenre, stood in for you yesterday.
Oh, bless her. I was unavoidably absent. I'm sorry, guys. But we're here again. Thank you.
You owe a drink.
It's okay. You'll get it.
All right, let's get it going. Demola, you want to have this?
No, you go ahead.
All right, let's begin with the Daily Trust. And it reads, the major headline here reads, fresh trouble for PDP as INEC rejects NEC notice. Okay, and you see a pictorial here talking about a certain governor. So there's not quite a lot of stories here on the Daily Trust. It's just fresh trouble for PDP is what we have here.
You check the inside.
All right. And taking a look at the Business NG. The Business NG leads with the story tension in downstream sector as Dangote's refinery strategy sparks monopoly concerns. Tension in downstream sector as Dangote's refinery strategy sparks monopoly concerns. And just above that story is a tiny strip. DMO unveils 50 billion naira green bond at 19% yield to fund eco projects. All right, that story is on page 2. Above the nameplate, FCCPC cracks down on airpeace over unpaid refunds. Indeed, and just beside that is investors lose 170 billion naira as Oando first hold co tumble. You get details of that also on page 2. And towards the bottom of the Business NG, shareholders lament as Access, Zenith, First Bank face dividend freeze till 2028. Interesting times. Ogun equips Gateway Airport with world-class lighting, VIP lounges. Good. And finally, in that bottom strip, onions, maize, rice prices spike again. That's on page 2. I'm sure it will interest Chukwudi. Demola.
All right. I have the daily People's Daily newspaper. And just below the nameplate, we have court gives NRM go ahead to serve contempt charge on INEC chairman. The details can be found on page 5. 2025 UTME jammed to sanction 11 CBT centers over fingerprint infractions. Details on page 8. Then bandit kills scores, kidnap others, rustle cows in Kebbi State. That's the headline of that newspaper. Then just about the black strip, we have federal government to link credit scores to NIN, Credit Corp MD. Okpebolo approves return of schools to missionaries in Edo. Nigeria's inflation rate further eases to 22.97% in May. MBS. Police kill suspected armed robber in Niger. And Kano FCE Kwesu disowns members who created faction union. Chooks.
Yeah. Demola, I'll take the one you just read just a minute ago. Ukbeolo approves return of schools to missions in Edo State.
Yeah.
I don't know what my reaction to that would be. Yes, good, but also maybe not too good. Because I know that some schools that were returned to missionaries, the mission
schools,
they just went down the hill. They just quality everything. Some of them couldn't even afford to pay their teachers. I went to a school in Iseluku, which was which we call number 1 primary school, a Baptist school. When the handover happened and all that, we thought we would continue. I'm not washing our dirty linen in public. I like to be specific. And the last time I interviewed them, they were saying management issues and all that. So I hope that that kind of thing does not happen concerning the schools in Edo as well, because it affects the quality of whatever education our children are getting. The ones that are capable, let them take the schools.
That's it, because I believe that there should be a kind of dialogue between government and the missions before they, give them back
exactly
to schools,
viability
to know whether they are actually ready, because things have changed over the years.
I agree with you.
And the ability for them to be able to train and also to equip the schools, may not be there any longer, because the population in the schools are already blown up, and the conditions generally of teachers being paid well and all that.
That's it.
All that. So there should be a dialogue before you say, okay, we're giving back the schools. You don't even know whether the missions are even viable.
That's the point. Are they viable? Can they actually play the game the way it should?
Isn't it
like they were doing before?
The process.
Isn't it the case that it is the same quality of education, the drop in quality of education across board? The mission schools are not in isolation. They are not in a country of their own. They are not in a different society. Isn't it the case that it is the general drop that has impacted them? Because I know that if you talk about viability, when the initial time when schools were returned, generally to the missions, they angled for it. They wanted it.
Victor, you have a point. There's a general drop in everything, whichever way you look at it in this country. It's not just education. It's not just broadcasting. It's everywhere. We agree. But a situation where you begin to find a mission school owing about 4 or 5 months' salaries, the state schools still manage to keep them going, even if the teacher has to duck away from class to go and sell 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, then return to class again. But the government ensures that their salaries go on and on. I was talking about the drop. I was defending NTA stoutly on one of the journalist platforms. We be over Sabi people lambasting it. And I said, NTA still happens to be the all-rounder in terms of broadcasting in this country. Health is there. Farming is there. Whatever you want is still there in NTA. The ones that are talking, the private broadcasters, it's only politics and governance with a lot of furore to go with it so that social media likes will come. That's the point. So there's a general drop in everything. But our children's lives, future, are in the bargain this time around concerning education. That's why the hue and cry about viability of management that the mission schools might break.
The likelihood.
I wish them,
you would always say, well, journalists shouldn't speculate, but the likelihood, if you look deeper, is that the missions requested it, and the governor is considering it.
It's okay. I wish them luck. Fresh trouble for PDP as INEC rejects NAC notice.
NEC notice.
NEC notice. That's a National Executive Committee notice.
Yes.
I think they are talking about procedural violation here. But there's an Elder Timothy Osadolo, a PDP NEC member, accusing INEC of overstepping its mandate and veering into partisanship. He's saying that internal party matters, the Supreme Court has ruled on those, and that nobody should put their nose into how they run. I don't know how viable that argument is. Does that mean that whatever happens within the party, nobody is going to poke their nose into it? How come they go to court over matters? Maybe it's INEC they're saying has no business in it.
Because that's what they're saying.
Yeah. It's INEC they're probably talking about. Well, whatever it is, the most important thing is that democracy is seen to be as transparent as possible in this country. At the end of the day, what we are looking for is that man who has become governor, that woman who has become a state representative, a representative in the State House of Assembly, that man who became president or becomes president must be people that got the people's mandate. That's what this is all about. Because even the parties themselves, I accuse them of something. The people sometimes the people they give us to vote for are not people we as the people would have loved to even contend for offices. So we too have something to, an axe to grind with them, so to speak. But the journey to democracy in Africa should continue on and on. Forget Burkina Faso, Niger, and the other renegade.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's a process, and we'll keep on working. Who was trying to frighten me? You,
yes,
Victor.
because of
Onions, maize, rice prices spike again. And you mentioned Chukudi. I've become a recurring decimal to you.
Because
I just pray that we don't fight in the studio one day.
Because you're a farmer, that's why.
It's okay.
An alleged farmer.
Double tragedy. It was tomato and pepper. Tomato and pepper were the problem. For onions, maize, rice to join, that one
it's a competition for which goes higher.
I think it's a seasonal thing. It's a seasonal thing.
You're right.
Groundnuts have gone up because people are planting, and the demand for groundnuts
it's
seasonal.
That's where the issue of storage comes in.
Thank you.
When we had it in abundance, we should have storage facilities that will be able to maintain equilibrium.
I got tired of saying this. In primary 4, current affairs, we were reading that government was had concluded plans to ensure storage facilities for farmers across Nigeria. That was 1968. We are still reading that government is making plans to. But maybe the problem is bringing government into these things. It is private concerns that should actually be helping farmers.
And besides, the insecurity is insecurity. Look at what is happening in Benue State, for instance. That's the food basket of the nation. And likewise in some parts, other parts of the north.
Didn't you hear the army chief talking yesterday?
Yeah,
he mentioned 3 things.
So it will have this ripple effect.
Exactly. He mentioned 3 things. He took a soldier to spell it out to us. We are playing politics with the thing. He said, the first one is this native settler issue. That is political. The army cannot solve that. He was quite clear. The second one is, his cows went into my farm. That is not clash. That is destroying another man's property. He spoke like a soldier. Lastly, he said, rustling of cows again is a problem. So it's a hydra-headed thing that requires the communities concerned to sit down and iron things out. Otherwise, we'll keep on talking about the same things on and on and on. We're not morons. We're capable of solving our problems. Why are we so hesitant about it?
That's what the president said, that the issue of state police is no longer for negotiation, it's a necessity.
No. How many times did I say? I said when they do everything with they do. State police is a matter of time. Now they sit down, they talk Amabi. Because the number of boots on the ground isn't just enough. The states have to come in. Okay, governors will use them. Governors would always do whatever they want to do.
You're not looking at the concerns of those who oppose it. Who will pay them? A lot of state governments, who will pay the police, the state police? A lot of state governments at the moment are struggling to pay salaries. Then you get people put arms in their hands, and then you don't pay them.
Do you know you could be saying that a lot of states are mismanaging funds?
That is
what you're saying. Could be what you're saying.
Because they have
the security vote they talk about.
Huge.
Can I mention about 2 governors that really use their security votes?
Oh, 2 out of 36. That's not the
If you say that 34 are mismanaging, that's really too bad then.
2 out of 36 is not a pass mark.
I think they can do it.
But we would like to thank you, Chukwudi.
Chooks, thank you.
Thanks for thanking me away.
We'll continue this debate some other time.
All right, we take a break now. The conversation will kick off after the break. Stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
I want to play!
Survey says. If my phone rings at 2 a.m., it's probably
My mom.
an emergency.
Landlord.
Achaluko. I will give you 1.5 million. After you smile finish, I will add extra 1.5 million just for you to move around. I will not add extra 2 million naira. Just for you to call me Odogu.
Family Feud Nigeria Season 3 is officially live.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
Pleased to announce encouraging news from the National Bureau of Statistics, which released the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, for April 2025 only yesterday. According to the report, the headline inflation rate for April stood at 23.71%, This represents a decrease of 0.52% from the 24.23% recorded in March 2025. Similarly, month-on-month inflation dropped by a notable 2.04% from 3.90% in March to 1.86% in April. This, of course, did not just happen by chance. The president is focused and is determined, and his determination and his interventions are clearly paying off. The benefits of reform, though gradual, are real and measurable.
All right, thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria here on the network service of the NTA. To begin our conversation on technical and vocational education in Nigeria, here's a background report put together by our correspondent, Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
The Nigerian National Policy on Technical Education focuses on qualitative technological human resource development directed towards a national pool of skilled and self-reliant craftsmen. technicians, and technologists in technical and vocational education fields. Technical and vocational education involves, in addition to general education, the acquisition of practical skills, attitudes, understanding, and knowledge relating to occupations in various sectors of economic and social life. Analysts agree that employers of labor are demanding for more skills than they did in the past. Hence, the need for paradigm shift towards combining skills acquisition and conventional education. Despite all the glaring contributions of technical and vocational education, Nigeria is yet to accord this type of education the attention it deserves to transform critical sector for the nation to thrive, which is one of the major reasons for the rising unemployment, crimes, and poverty. Hence, the current resolve to underline the need for a skill-driven educational approach to prepare the nation's workforce and citizens for the demand of a modern economy, with President Bola Tinubu approving 120 billion naira in March 2025 to revive technical education in Nigeria. What is the situation of Nigeria's technical and vocational education? How important is the shift to combine education incorporated with skills to national development? And what is the trend in technical and vocational education of the present administration? This and more will set the tone for the conversation on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. What is the trend of technical and vocational education in Nigeria? That's the topic for discussion this morning. And we have one of our guests already in the studio with us this morning, Dr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagode. Is the Director General, National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN. Dr. Nagode, good to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really glad and honored to be here.
All right. Okay.
Perhaps we should begin by asking what precisely the mandate of NAPTIN is and how it aligns, how does it fit in, to the broader electricity reform agenda of government?
Let me say that National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, is an agency of the federal government of Nigeria under the aegis of the Federal Ministry of Power, mandated to build human capacity and coordinate training activities in the power sector. The power sector is heavy laden machine, sector, and it's skills, oriented, because it's largely about operation and maintenance. What we've seen, is that academic qualification is different from the skills required to operate on the power network. So the role of NAPTIN is to bridge that gap, to provide skilled workforce that will operate the power network. I must also add, that I'm the chairman of the Sector Skills Council for the Power. That is the Power Sector Skills Council, and the chairman, the committee of chairmen of Sector Skills Council, including carbon, tourism, agriculture, and other sectors. But the essence of this is to really emphasize on the need, to have national occupation, standard, whereby, you have skill sets that need to be fulfilled before people, go to job. And I think that's very, very critical. It aligns, with the strategic goal of the government in economic growth and job, creation. Because what we've seen, for now is that there's a mismatch between what we have in our educational sector and what is required. The labor market demand is not met by what we have as supply, and that is the essence of why we have high rate of unemployment. So that is the present efforts, of the Federal Ministry of Education is to address, this mismatch, to ensure, that we have critical set of, young Nigerians with skills that can really meet the demands of the, labor market, and in line with national occupational standards, which Sector Skills Council, provide, and also the National Skills Qualification, which is the duty of the awarding bodies. That is to ensure, that we have reliable and, also quality skill human capital. Yes.
Reliable and quality skills human capital. Yes. Well, DJ, because over the years we have realized that most times there is so much discriminations between the conventional studies, that is universities, and the training, the technical schools. Even at the employment level, they will discriminate. Oh no, this one will be higher than this other one. So as a result, there is so much discouragement amongst the youth to go for vocational and technical training or technical education. So what is government doing right now to promote, to create, to make it more attractive for Nigerian youths, to pursue, technical and vocational training in Nigeria? What is this administration doing?
Well, I think from what you highlighted, you can see that government is investing heavily in technical education, and as I've said earlier, that is the way to go. When you look at it, you must face the fact that the white collar job is no longer there, and it's like a pyramid, as I've always said. It's the higher you go, the thinner it becomes. So what will definitely take out of the woods is to really invest in technical education, because that is where you have the jobs. As I said earlier, that's where the demand is. So the government is doing everything to incentivize, to make technical education very, very attractive, and to also address the issue of dichotomy, which we have already said, because this is the only way we can really address that very issue of people not taking into technical education, to make it very, very attractive, and to make it equally maybe sellable to people. And there must be the culture of dignity of labor that must also be emphasized here. And for whatever we do, if you go to other climes, the emphasis is on skill, what you can do with your hands, and that will hand you, so the culture the government is trying to promote is to promote the culture of, dignity of labor in terms of investing, technical education, and also making it very, very attractive. I think, the representative of the Honorable Minister, the SA, will talk about various, we have, in the present arrangement, even free education, being made possible for young Nigerians to be able to make, it to, technical, education.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nagode, because there is need to reduce that discrimination between those conventional, certificates and the technical certificates. Now we have more guests joining us in the studio. Victor, could you please just introduce our guest?
All right. We have been joined in the studio by Professor Idris Mohammed Bugaje, who is Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, MBTE. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, and Dr. Nabila Agwai Mohammed is Technical Assistant to the Honorable Minister of Education. We thank you very much for also coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, let me just welcome Professor Bugaje to the program. We're talking about this technical and vocational education in Nigeria, how to reduce especially discrimination between the conventional education and the technical education. What is government actually doing to promote technical and vocational education? How is government, what are the policies put in place to attract the Nigerian youth into skills now?
Well, let me start by saying that discrimination in itself is a sign of underdevelopment. It shows Nigeria is not catching up with the global trend. Globally, economies are today being built with skills. Skills have become the global currency of labor, and Tibet is the foundation. So, but government in Nigeria, the government is doing a lot, especially in the last 2 years. We have seen a new direction for Tibet, a new direction that we have never seen in the last almost 30 years, since after the Civil War. And this is anchored by the new Minister of Education, who has brought a new Tibet initiative. At the moment, technical colleges are only 129 out of 15,000 senior secondary schools in Nigeria. This shows to you how poorly Tibet is doing, less than 1% in terms of admissions. Now, with the new, Tibet initiative, we are very confident that admissions shall be shored up. There will be increase in admissions. We have already seen it. The last exams by NAPTEB, entrance exam, almost 30,000 candidates sat for that exam. In the past, it will be 15, 20. So this is a significant improvement. And this is because there are certain incentives for young people who want to go into Tibet. And not only for the technical colleges, there's also rebranding of the former Federal Science and Technical Colleges. Now they are called Federal Technical Colleges, purely technical. Okay. In the past, when you say science and technical, when the children come, they prefer to go for the science because they would like to end up in a university system, the WAEC, the NECO, etc. They will not be so interested in the NAPTEB exams. And NAPTEB exams are supposed to feed polytechnics. Okay. To the extent that today polytechnics are even taking more candidates. 95% of their candidates come from the conventional secondary schools, not the technical colleges. So there is really a new improvement, and we are very hopeful in the next 4, 5, 6 years, Tibet will be repositioned so that it will take its proper place, as it is in other climes. Across the world, Tibet is being given attention. This is the only way you can empower young people. This is the only way you can create entrepreneurs, because those who finish Tibet don't need to start going looking for jobs. They already have the skills. They only need small support, financial support, and they can set up. They can employ others. And with this new initiative, we are very confident that change is coming very soon.
All right, Professor Bugaji, thank you very much for your opening remarks. I know that you've been at the forefront of repositioning TVET in Nigeria, but it's okay to want to expand it because that's what obtains across the world. Yes. And but what was the level of investment in terms of providing equipment, for instance, needed for this education, and what has changed now that we are expanding?
Well, there is need for greater investment into Tibet. I agree with you. Modern skills, skills are every day evolving. The labs and the workshops that you use in Tibet training 30 years ago are completely irrelevant. Today, we are not talking of the conventional lathe machine. We are talking of CNC machines, for you to, fabricate whatever you want to do. Today, we are talking of laser welding, not the conventional welding that we see all over the place. Today, we are talking of use of artificial intelligence in the way we conduct some of this, deliver some of these skills. So there is need, of course, for greater investment. But at least the federal government has started doing something on that. They have started bringing over 100 billion, I think. Dr. Nabila will tell us the exact figure this year, to support Tibet, interventions. And we are hopeful that in the next budget, there will be greater, budgets for Tibet, so that new equipment, modern equipment, can be brought on board. Nigeria cannot continue the way we were in the past. We cannot continue to import labor from Asia while we have young Nigerians ready to work without, given the opportunities. The Dangote refinery, I have always said it, 11,000 Indians were brought to deliver it. His super phosphate fertilizer, second largest in the world. The refinery is the largest single train refinery in the world. This one was, even the railway lines we are delivering now, we are bringing imported Chinese labor. Go to Port Harcourt, go to Wari, the oil and gas hubs. If you go there, a lot of this underwater welding is being carried out by Indonesians and Filipinos. Why should that continue? So there is need for greater investment so that the capital flight associated with importation of this skilled labor will stop. And Nigerians will be empowered. Nigerians will have the opportunity. We should be able now to train young people. They feed our local needs. We should even be able to export skilled labor to the world.
We should be able to export skilled labor to the world. Thank you, Professor Bugaji, for that. We just want to inform our viewers that you can also contribute and send your comments and questions concerning the discussion we're having today. That is the technical and vocational education in Nigeria via the number on your screen. The number is displayed on your screen. Send us your questions, your comments, and so that our guest here can respond to them. Now, let me bring in Dr. Agwai now. The Professor Bugaji just mentioned the fact that there is need for a huge investment in the technical and vocational education in Nigeria. Tell us, you are the assistant, you're the special assistant to the Minister of Education. tell us what the federal government is doing to build that sector of education, to build infrastructure in the technical and vocational education in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, in the last couple of months, well, first and foremost, about 38 technical colleges have been upgraded in the last few months, in the last years. You can take a look at Federal Technical College here in Orozo, where the federal government has brought in a number of new infrastructure, new machinery into that college. A lot of infrastructural development has been ongoing across different technical colleges, and as part of this initiative, the federal government has taken up all of the federal technical colleges, as well as one state technical college per state. Okay. And that is just a part of this first phase of the initiative. So as we go along, as we get more buy-in, we're able to expand across other technical colleges across the country. But as of right now, we have 38 technical colleges that have been upgraded, and they have new facilities and new infrastructure in those colleges.
Is government working to, collaborating with private partnership in this sphere, at least, to further, develop the technical and vocational education in Nigeria?
Yes. So as part of the initiative, the initiative cuts across 3 different types of institutions, the federal technical colleges being one of them, and then we have the vocational enterprise institutions and the skill training centers. Okay. So these skill training centers and vocational enterprise institutions are owned by private sector. These are fully private owned institutions where we intend to deploy these trainings. Okay. The government is paying for the tuition of each student directly to those institutions through NEL Fund.
So what role precisely does the federal government envision, for TVET in terms of advancing, the economic transformation agenda of the Tinubu administration?
So, at the end of this, the trainings especially, we're looking at empowering each and every one of our trainees. So we're looking at giving them startup packs, grants, as well as access to loans from Bank of Industry. We're hoping that this will eventually lead them to be self-reliant and generally increase the human capital index in Nigeria.
Okay. And the several skills acquisition programs running in parallel. How is the government ensuring, for instance, that they are coordinated in order to avoid duplication?
Labor market information system is very important. I'm appealing to the Federal Ministry of Labor. Is their responsibility to carry out surveys and determine the gaps, skill gaps. And we should therefore channel our training and our investments to cover those gaps. So the labor market information system is weak. We have to say the truth. Is weak in Nigeria. If you look at the statistics, they may give you statistics 10 years ago, which is not good enough. But at the Federal Ministry of Education, at the MBT, we are working together under the National Council on Skills to start, we have already started, we have opened a portal trying to find the dominant skills in different states and the areas that are having gaps. So we are trying to do on our own part a kind of skill survey so that we can determine the skill gaps. And this is very important for us to plan our training so that we focus on those key areas of demand.
Okay, I think that's very, very instructive what Professor has just said now.
But what policy, what policy do you think that can be implemented to further, from what Prof just said now, to further improve the quality and the relevance of TVET?
Well, I think, there are policies, they already existing, policies that are taking care of this. What I would just emphasize is the need for implementation and the need for synergy. And as Prof, said, there's a need, for database. There's a need, to have, statistics, to really have what the demands, are in the labor market, so that the supply head, will know what, we're bringing into the labor market. This is very, very important. Okay. And I will also add, to the fact that there is a synergy, between the federal government, that's the public, service, and also the private, sector. When you look at the sector skills council, they're largely, the private sector. They're largely private sector driven, and they are the ones that are expected to make use of, TVET's, products. So when you look at, what we try to do in the sector skills council, draw up national occupational, standard, and also take care of, certification. That is in the area of national skills, qualification, which we've really worked, very hard, with the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, and also Nigerian Board of Technical Education, to be on, the same, page, to be, to have the synergy, on this, so that the essence of it is to have vibrant, efficient, and effective, workforce. That will be able, to drive, the various, sectors, and make production, possible. So government has existing policy, and some of the things that have really come out, even the commissioning, the other day, are more or less like, the implementation, aspect, of this. And I would want to emphasize on the need, to leverage, on our population. The need to, Prof has just said it, that there is a need to really emphasize, on building, skills. When you look at those who go out of the country, as he said, that's in the other climes, emphasis are now on what you can do with your hands. That is skills, acquisition. We leverage, a population in the sense that when you go out, you get to the border post, you see Indians, you see Pakistanis, because they're leveraging on their population and exporting, labor. So there is a need to leverage on knowledge economy, and this one equally fetch, Nigeria, foreign, exchange. This comes, very it becomes very instructive when you look at what we have with ACTA, that is African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Nigeria should be at the forefront, and that's what the Federal Ministry of Education is trying to do, now, by laying the foundation, providing young Nigerians, with skills that will make it possible for them, to go to other countries, Cote d'Ivoire, to Morocco, to Egypt, to Ghana, to go and build, career and, work in all those, other countries, especially with the AFTA, agreement. So I want to emphasize on the need, for private sector and, government, synergy to really drive, government's, projects, especially as regards, to TVET, development.
Dr. Nagode, thank you, but from responses, I see gaps in coordination. What's the coordination structure like? Who coordinates, and how do you put the pieces together to make it work?
Well, let me just come from the sector skills, perspective. And that's what I'm trying to say now, that if you look at it, we have the NBT as a regulatory body, we have the Federal Ministry of Education for policy, making, and also part of implementation. The Sector Skills Council, we are the one who makes use of, these products. We are the one, who develop, the occupational standard, as I said, earlier. We are the one, who have awarding bodies for the various subsectors, to really make sure that assessment and quality, of skills, graduates are guaranteed. So when you look at this, there is a synergy already that we're building, and part of the synergy, which I must, really commend the government, especially the Honorable Minister of Education, is what we have just been able to do some couple of weeks, ago, to bring in the Sector Skills Council, the awarding bodies, to agree with, NAPTEP to be the centralized, body to give, certificates, but with the input, of the Sector Skills Council and awarding bodies. So the synergy is already there, and these are things we need to really bring out, to, the public, and, maybe make sure that we grow, on that. And when you look at the National Council of Skills, which Prof, mentioned, that's, the largest, body, policy making, body that we have, headed by the Vice President, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What's the place of NAPTIN, which is your primary constituency, for instance, in all of this? NAPTIN, for instance.
NAPTIN, as I said to you, it's to bridge the gap, between academic qualification and skills required to operate on the power network. Now, when you look at it, it's still about skills. We provide the skills in the workforce for the power sector. And by doing that one, we also work with the Honorable Minister of Power. That because I told you that my agency is under the Ministry of Power to ensure that there is a linkage, between what the Federal Ministry of Power and what the sectors, generation, transmission, distribution, the manpower required, to really operate, the power network, to operate and maintain, the power network. NAPTIN provides that. It provides, the skills and a lot of things. I'll give a good example of what we're doing with the government. Very soon, government will roll out, meters, and the presidential metering initiative. That's the initiative of the president, government, to break the meter gap. That's a very good example. NAPTIN will provide the installers, that is the skills required to install this meter, not only to install, to maintain this meter. That's an area where you see where we come in and then intervene in the sector.
Are you engaging the youth in this training? Are you engaging the youth in this training? How do you attract them?
Yeah, what we do is that when you have programs, we make it accessible and affordable to all Nigerians, and we make emphasis on capturing all the 6 geopolitical zones.
Okay.
And we also make emphasis on gender and social inclusion, whereby, we reflect, the demography speaks, to that, whereby we make sure that, we ensure, gender equality and also give social inclusion in all these, programs. Very soon, we are going to the website, to, really come up, with the eligibility conditions for youth, to really come into this. And we're training 4,000 youths in Nigeria.
Okay.
When you look at what REA is doing, that is Rural Electrification Agency, of Nigeria, in the area of renewable energy, particularly solar PV installation. We've just launched in a program commissioned by the Minister of Youth, Development, and the program is centered on building the next, generation. That is emphasizing on the need, to really equip our youth, because the demography requires, it makes it inevitable. We need to build, the skills of the youth. We need to make them, very, very active and also employable. And the only way we can do this is to engage them, as the Prof said, in where from day one they can have skills that will make it possible for them, to. For instance, if you learn solar PV installation, you don't need to go to government to grant. You can be on your own and then start, engaging, installing, solar. These are testimonies we've already received from those who we have trained, our alumni. That there are quite a lot of them that are installing solar PV all over, and that's the future of energy. And that's why we're investing in that, and government is investing heavily in that. The Honorable Minister of Power, of recent.
Actually, I see a lot of youths installing solar, PV all around Abuja these days.
Exactly. Yeah. And recently, the Honorable Minister of Power, in his visionary, leadership, made a directive, that if you look at, the trend we have, the whole hands, are really, going out. There is a need, to start developing, the young ones, to take over. So what we're doing is that averagely we're training about 150 young Nigerians, and to really replace all these, those who are going, the attrition, those who are going out. So we were looking at it in the next, 10 years, even for graduates of electrical and mechanical engineering, we're going to have 1,500, to really replace those who are going out. This is a very good plan, of ensuring, that, there is continuity, and then there is also the need, to have the necessary workforce, that would.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nagode. I mean, skills is the way to go.
Yes.
I mean, just recently, my daughter called me. He's in Canada, and she read the English. But while she was here, I noticed that she likes to play with hair, nails, and all that. And so I encouraged her to develop that skill. Now, when she got there, she was looking for a job, and she got one in one very big salon and all that. After 3 months, they said, no. You are going to be the head of this place. She now called and said, Daddy, thank you for encouraging me. He said, all the people I met there now, I'm not the head of the place. I said, wow. That's what skill does for you.
Exactly.
So how do we now begin to encourage the youth now? How do we, because you talked about the use of technology to promote technical and vocational education, which is where the world is going now. So how do we begin to build on that?
Well, before I answer that, let me comment on the issue of policy and coordination. The responsibility of coordinating policies on TVET and skills is with the National Council on Skills, chaired by Mr. Vice President, His Excellency. Now, but at the moment, there are efforts to harmonize. Federal Ministry of Education has its own policy. Federal Ministry of Labor has its own policy. Federal Ministry of Youth have another TVET or skills development policy. Different ministries. Now they are coming on board to the National Council on Skills so that we can harmonize. At our next meeting, that's what we are going to do. These policies must be properly harmonized so that we have one direction on skills development, one certification system on skills development. If you do skills training and get a certificate of attendance, nobody recognizes it. You have to do the national skills qualification certification. So that's the only way it can be recognized locally and globally. So we are working on that harmonization in the responsibility of the National Council on Skills. On the issue of youth, Nigeria has one of the most youthful population in the world. 75% of our young people, of the population, they're below 35. This is one of the best. If you go to Europe, they have an aging population, and that's why we have the advantage of training our own youth to go and find jobs even over there, across Europe, across the Americas, across some Asian countries. Japan is also having horribly aged population. The young people also are not interested in these skill areas. So these are opportunities. So Nigerian youth, there are a lot of incentives being rolled out. We're encouraging young people to please think of their future as that, by developing their skills. Degrees and certifications of diploma may not in the next 10, 15 years, degrees will become irrelevant. In the next 15 years, I assure you, degrees will become irrelevant. College degree or university degree will not fetch you any job because the scenario is already changing. It is skills that will define what you get, not your qualifications as a degree holder or even a diploma holder. And that's why in the polytechnic sector, we have insisted nobody shall graduate unless he gets another certificate on skills, what we call the mandatory skills qualification. You can't graduate with a diploma in any field. You must take a skill area of your own interest and passion, because skills training has to be driven by passion. So you have to take an area of interest and you'll get certification. If you do not, you will not graduate. So that we are producing products with double edge. Where the academic qualification is required, they give the national diploma. And where skills are needed, they can use their NSQ and secure a good job. So this is the way to go. And we are hopeful, we're hoping that not only the federal government, let state governments also come on board. Education is on the concurrent list. This intervention from the federal government should be supported by, more intervention from the states, so that our state colleges of, technical colleges should also be re-engineered, revived. When you enter them at the moment, they are, they're in very terribly dilapidated condition. So that's why people are not interested in going there. The materials required for training, not available. The power requirements, not available. A lot of challenges. So states should please come on board. Some states are doing well. 3, 4, I don't want to mention the names. 3, 4 are doing well, but majority of the states in Nigeria are putting TVET in the background. They are not making the right investments. And we are now seeing the results of that. Young people, taken to crime. Because if they have no employment, no skills, they will end up becoming criminals. So we are appealing to state governors to please buy into this federal government's agenda on the development of skills so that Nigeria can be reinvented.
But have we identified, first and foremost, the skills gap? In what areas what skills are we lacking at the moment that will be more beneficial to Nigeria? Are we focusing on those? What are the skills have we identified?
We have identified. Number one, construction skills, tiling, POP, finishing, masonry, etc. Go to any construction site in Abuja. Most of this are being done by Francophone West African countries, Benin, Togo. This is a huge area of skill gap. Go to industries, welding and fabrication, integrity testing, operation of plants, mechatronics, etc. All these are areas of skill gaps. We are working on that at the moment. We have identified the key areas. If you go to the MBT website, the National Council on Skills website, we have already put up that report on the National Council on Skills website, which is being developed at the moment. So we have already identified some of the skill gaps, but we would like to work with other stakeholders like the Federal Ministry of Labor, who have that primary responsibility, so that we can develop a comprehensive, skills gap analysis for the country. And we can now forecast in the next 5 years what are the areas we should concentrate on. This is what we are working on at the moment.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Bugaje. And for the Ministry of Education, Nabila, what primary areas have we started building on in terms of providing infrastructure, providing facilities to ensure that this thrives? He's talked about construction. Are we developing in that regard?
Well, to speak to add to what Professor said, there have been a bunch of reviews that have been done across different sectors by different MDAs on skill gap analysis in the country. Very recently, I think there was one done by UKAID, another one was done by Cobon, and we reviewed all of those assessments that were done to come up with about 25 key areas that we want to focus on in this first phase of the initiative, because we don't want to overburden the system as at now. We came up with about 25 skill areas across different sectors, construction being one of them, electricity, automobile mechanics, fashion and fashion design, cosmetology. So it's quite inclusive as well, where we're considering both the male and the female gender. Okay. And to speak to the construction bit, yes, we're still looking at doing more infrastructural upgrades across more technical colleges. We're also looking at bringing in new innovative ways into our technical colleges. But as at now, we're focusing on our technical colleges for the infrastructural upgrades. The privately owned institutions, we're hoping that by the end of this first phase of the initiative, because of the value chain that we hope that this will generate, they'll also be pushed to actually to increase on their capacity.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Agwe, for that. We have some comments and questions that have come from some of our viewers. Maybe you can respond to the questions. And the first one says, this from Babs. Bab is from Ilori. It said, good morning to the crew of Good Morning Nigeria. Please help ask our guest, how can one register or join TVET program? Maybe Prof will answer that.
Well, she's the one.
Okay, she will answer that. Then secondly, this one says, this from Joseph Ochela from Abuja. It said, to encourage youths to embrace technical and vocational education is to end the dichotomy between HND and BSc holders.
Yes.
All right. Good. Then the third one is from Tessiri Omoni from Delta State. It said, thank you for this program. How can those in rural areas apply for this technical vocation education? I intend to enroll my son. So let's start from Dr. Agwe.
So there's a link to joining this program as a trainee. It's tvet@education.gov.ng.
Can you repeat that?
Yes,
again?
tvet@education.gov.ng. It's a registration process that would require your NIN and your BVN.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The dichotomy issue.
Yes,
is
the
very
dichotomy
unfortunate.
issue.
It still persists after all the efforts of the past. It's very unfortunate because most other countries don't show this dichotomy. In fact, many countries of the world, I was in South Africa, industries prefer the HND holders, not the BSc, because the HND have skills, but
do they?
They do.
In today's world,
what
do we have in place to equip?
Well, in South Africa, they have. I was a lecturer there 20 years ago. But in Nigeria, we have made all efforts. Even bills in the National Assembly have been developed to end the dichotomy. It has refused to go. At the moment, we have a new bill before the National Assembly, sponsored by the Speaker himself, on ending the dichotomy permanently. We are proposing to end the HND, replace it with Bachelor of Technology honors.
Okay.
The reason is simply because the Nigerian, mentality. But our B Tech honors, which will replace the HND, will be different from the university degrees. Our own shall be awarded based on knowledge, character, and skills.
Okay.
These are the three components. University degrees are only awarded for learning and character. Ours, we have added another component, skills. So with this, the dichotomy will end, and then technical education will end with the national diploma. Those who want to pursue the B.Tech higher level, they can go to do the P.Tech honors. And then those who want to do skills training, they can do the NSQ. The NSQ is level 1 up to 9. Level 9 of the NSQ is equivalent to a PhD. And by the way, those who have skills even earn better than those even who have the PhDs and even professors. Go to Europe, go to UK. The average masterclass person in UK earns about £15,000 in a month. A professor in any university earns only £5,000, three times more than the professor.
That's true.
So it pays more even to go in the Tibet direction.
What about those in the rural areas? How do they benefit?
Well, rural areas are also involved. As long as there are technical colleges, technical colleges in those rural areas, they are also encouraged to register so that they can benefit from this rollout and get virtually a free Tibet education. And the Tibet has even been rebranded, Tibet 1, Tibet 2, Tibet 3. And this is all part of the ways to mobilize,
And that's why we included the skill training centers and the vocational enterprise institution, because the Honorable Minister wanted to ensure that there's inclusivity for people even within the rural areas. So some of these skill training centers, in fact, as we were doing the mapping, a lot of the skill training centers that registered to be training these students were in the rural areas. So as long as there's availability within your area, you're eligible to train.
Is there a deadline? Because Hamzat Ridwan from Oyo is asking, is there a deadline for the TVET application?
Yes, we're looking to close application by the end of June.
Okay, to add, to registration from the power sector perspective, the PMI, collaboration, with NAPTIN, that is for the to train meter installers, and we're looking about 4,000. We'll soon come up, with registration, modality, and naptin.gov.ng will definitely be used, to really call for people to register to be part of, this exercise of this project. We're looking at 4,000 across the 6 geopolitical zone. I must also, add, that NAPTIN, as the training arm of the power sector, is aligning to the Mr. President's agenda on economic growth and job creation by identifying 3 areas: electrical installation, solar PV installation, meter installation. These are critical areas, as Prof mentioned earlier, where when we train young Nigerians, they can go in and then get jobs. They can form cooperatives. Have been done in some other countries like South Africa, and then get jobs and then start working. So we're really emphasizing on, and government is giving support, because there is a project now with us to transform vocational training in the power sector. We are in collaboration with an international, that's the AFD, France, whereby, they've really given us infrastructural support to rehabilitate all our centers across the 6 geopolitical zone. These are focused on skills and development. And also there is a grant, component, of it, whereby our faculty is being developed to world-class, standard, our curricula being updated and validated, to meet, world, standard. Very soon we're going to commission, at our corporate, headquarters, 104-bed, hostel to really house our trainees, and also 6 workshop building, whereby you have various trades that are required in the power sector, to be, having laboratory simulators and other equipment, and also a lifeline. Where I've seen that one for now is in Bangalore in India. So when that infrastructure comes up, Nigeria will be hub, especially in West Africa. And these are infrastructure. The government has been investing in infrastructure so that, just to really bring it
Okay,
together.
okay, Dr. Nagode, we are having many other questions. So
from
you,
this end.
yes,
Okay.
plenty
And,
questions and more questions are coming.
Pastor Charles says, I'm so happy for the positive steps to ensure that our youths are equipped technically to improve the image of our country, both home and abroad. I guess that's a comment. And what are you doing to ensure that technical and vocational education is attractive to youths? That's from Etiese Jonah Udoyang from Akwa Ibom. Moses Chibo Iketaku from FCT says, please, your program is very good, but what happened to polytechnics all over Nigeria? What has the Ministry of Education and other bodies done to harmonize HND and BSc disparities? And finally from, it just says comrade from Maiduguri. Good morning to you all, the guests and presenters. Please, when will the approval for the TVET start? And sometimes the portal does have glitches, especially when it comes to BVN verification. Thank you. I think that's your question.
Yes. So to speak to that, because there's a lot of groundwork that the minister had put into place before we roll this out. Okay. We've looked at initiatives in the past where a single person will register half of their village members, and then the account number registered to that will eventually be his account number. This is something that we wanted to curb. So to ensure transparency across the entire initiative. Okay. And because we're actually trying to incentivize these people to come for these trainings, what we did was your NIN has to directly match your BVN. So 2 names on the NIN will have to match 2 names on the BVN. If not, you will not be able to fully register. And I think there's a message that comes up immediately after that to say that you can go and verify your NIN or at least, yes, or your BVN. But that's the main reason why there's that BVN NIN issue when registering on the portal.
Okay.
Yeah, on the dichotomy, the problem has refused to go. But with this new bill, I think that will come to an end. But we are still appealing to government and to, all the private sector. Please let us bring an end to this dichotomy. It's unnecessary. It's a sign of underdevelopment. Let us encourage. In the MBTE, that's why even our slogan is skills, not degrees. We are putting emphasis on the skills. And because somebody with a skill, even without a degree, can have good livelihood. Okay. He can get engagement. But if a degree holder comes without skills, he will have nowhere to go. So for that reason, we are trying to, reposition even the psychology of the young people. Let them see value in skills. Let them see dignity in skills. Skills is not for those who couldn't get even to the university. Skill is a matter of choice, a matter of passion. I have always given examples of a medical doctor like Dr. Nabila, who abandoned medicine and went into furniture making in this country. And she has made it. She has made more than even the medical doctors, in terms of, the financial outcome. So let's encourage people to follow their passion.
She's an example of a skillful entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Right.
But what's the plan to sustain? Because we are very good at starting and stopping. Well, I know that at some point, maybe early 2000s or so,
yes,
entrepreneurship studies was introduced to universities. Yes. I don't know where we are with that.
Well, entrepreneurship in universities is almost a failure, but in the polytechnics, it's being done very well. We are doing it very well because we have the skills, and we are not only teaching them the art of running an enterprise, but we are also giving them practical skills. That's why we have introduced the mandatory skills qualification.
Okay, thank you, Prof. We have more comments. Sorry, just to cut it short because of our time, we have a second discussion as well. So, this is from Ario from Ilorin. He said, I want to know what is the legal framework put in place to sustain this beautiful innovation? Because the result is not immediate. It's a long-term project that needs sustainability. That's from Ario Ilorin. Then this one says, how do I go about the technical and vocational education in Asaba, Delta State? Is asking. Okay. And this one says, good morning to you all, the guests and presenters. Please, when will the approval for TVET start? And sometimes the portal do have glitches.
That has been addressed.
Okay, that has been addressed. Okay, fine. So,
well, so, yeah, long term, I think what we require is let's allow this policy to last.
Okay.
Please let Nigerians allow this policy to take not just another 2 years, but another 6 years.
Okay.
This is my appeal. So that we can see the impact, so that we can see the transformation, so that skills can now become the currency across the country. And Nigerians will now be proud, with this kind of skills being acquired. It's very important. Secondly, let us also refocus. A lot of mention has been made on solar PV installation by Dr. Nagode. At the moment in Abuja and even across the whole country, 90% of the installations are unprofessional. Unprofessional. A lot of them are even causing fires in homes. When you use thin wires, the design may give you 10 millimeter thick wire, and the installer will go and pocket, buy a 4 millimeter, which is much cheaper, save some amount out of it, do the installation. During the solar peak, that one will burn and it will cause fires. Secondly, I see a lot of solar PVs on rooftops, unprofessional. Very unprofessional, because rooftops sometimes are very, on very sharp angles. So you are losing a lot of the solar radiation, because the solar radiation should hit the surface at 90 degrees, perpendicular, for you to get maximum collection of the radiation. If you do it at 60 degrees above the horizontal, you are losing almost half of the radiation. Half of it is being reflected away. So there's a lot of unprofessional practice. That's why this training is very important. That's why those in the industry should come for RPL, recognition of prior liner. Let us assess them. Let us see the gaps they have, and then let them make up those gaps and acquire an NSQ. We would like government to enforce licensing before you practice. Before you are licensed, you'll bring your qualification, your NSQ. Without it, you cannot get a license. So for that reason, there is need really to bring standards into this industry. Nigeria has to really invest more into solar PV. At the moment, Nigerians, we are facing serious energy poverty. Our per capita electricity is very low, one of the lowest in Africa, 22 watts. 5,000 divided by 230 million. 5,000 megawatts divided by 230 million. Every Nigerian is only entitled to 22 watts. As against 270 in South Africa, as against 400 in Egypt, as against 1,000 in Europe.
All right.
So we have to fill this gap.
All right.
With solar, but we should do the installation properly.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what we are doing with REA, Rural Education Agency of Nigeria. As Prof. Rino rightly said, those who go out there, and install meters, they're not trained. So we have, a well-structured, program, now to take them. Our own system has been developed, with corporate, with the German, government. That is collaboration between Nigeria and Germany.
I was going to
under
ask
GIZ.
if we have international
we have world-class, curriculum for training in solar PV installation, solar PV supervision, and also mini-grid, design. Okay. We're still working with the Germans on this. So, and in these three critical areas, that is faculty development, infrastructural development, and also curriculum development. We've worked successfully with the Germans, to make sure that we have class, infrastructure for training in all those three critical areas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nabila?
Yes, I think there was a question about someone joining the program from Asaba.
Asaba, yeah.
Yes,
State.
So the skill training centers and the vocational enterprise institutions that have been mapped out across the 36 states plus FCT, MBT has done a great job in accrediting some of those institutions.
Okay.
And so that would mean that there would be institutions available within every state across various local governments.
Is the one in Delta known yet?
There are many there.
Well, so we're looking to match these students to the institutions. Hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks, they will be all accepted applicants will get a message showing them their matched institutions. So it will be very close to the address that they've inputted in the system.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nabila Dati Mohammed Agwai, Technical Assistant to the Honorable Minister of Education. Thank you for your view this morning.
Thank you.
Also want to thank Dr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagode, Director General, National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN. Thank you for coming on. Good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you.
And last but not the least, I want to say thank you very much to Professor Idris Bugaje, Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Now we'll just take a break, and when we come back, our second topic on energy and governance. Stay with us.
The business environment, to be honest with you, has been extremely hard on most Nigerian women's businesses, and of course harsh for a number of reasons. There is no way you would increase or move a subsidy and increase the price of fuel that it doesn't have the counter effect. It has been very challenging for so many women. I know that a lot of them have cried in one way or the other to us to find ways of intervening. But that is not to say that it is all doom and gloom. We will still have a few percentage of women that are thriving in this economy, but we hope that we'll be able to get a larger percentage. One of the things I've seen with even our local purchases now is that people are buying more made in Nigerian options of food, of clothing, and so on and so forth than the imported. So that again is helping some of our industries thrive. Surprisingly, the telecommunications is still doing well, and the reason is very simple. A lot of people are going for online options of skills in terms of training, communications, even remote working. And so you will see that people that provide services around those areas also thrive. But I think at the end of the day, it's about partnerships, collaboration, and influencing power from especially the private sector and even the public sector. But we really need the public sector to drive a number of things, especially policies, because the public sector has the national spread above even whatever we can do in our own small way. What has happened over the years is that even the government, for example, is being pulled from different angles by all these stakeholders. We need to harness ourselves to have strategic focus areas, and we should all be moving in the same direction, not using a competitive approach, but a collaborative approach. Secondly, in collaboration, we need to move with large clusters of decision makers. Instead of, the process of reaching out to individuals is painstakingly long and it takes time. And so we need to engage these stakeholders on a larger platform. I think it's very important to identify where you can get help in your own little way. And one of the things I've realized is that when you operate in silo, it is difficult for you to lift yourself out of the situation. Identify ways you can do what you are doing in a simpler way. And if what you are doing is no more profitable, why not find out what can you do in the meantime that will help you? You need to think outside the box and then connect. What you can do is also identify people and become a cluster to provide a service that ordinarily you cannot do alone.
All right, welcome back from that break. And in what many are calling a game changer for Nigeria's energy sector, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is about to begin nationwide distribution of petrol and diesel starting August 15, 2025.
That's right, Victor. And this isn't business as usual. This time, the distribution will be powered by a fleet of 4,000 brand new compressed natural gas or CNG powered tankers, the first of its kind at this scale in Nigeria.
And the goal is to cut down logistics costs, reduce carbon emissions, and drive energy efficiency, all in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
We're talking lower transport costs for fuel, fewer delays, and a potential boost to economic stability. This move could also spur local job creation and set the pace for a greener petroleum distribution system in Africa.
But what will this mean for Nigerians? From the managing director of a filling station to the Okada rider feeling the pinch of pump prices.
Big questions. So to help us break it all down, we are joined in the studio now by someone who knows this sector inside out. We're talking about Mr. Kunle, Mr. Is it David Kunle or what?
My name is Dandi Kunle.
Dandi Kunle, okay, Dandi Kunle. All right, Mr. Dandi Kunle is the former privatization advisor at the Bureau of Public Enterprises, senior technical advisor to the Minister of State for Gas, and currently an energy advisor and governance consultant.
It's good to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much.
Let's begin with the big news. What's your general assessment of the Dangote Refinery's decision to commence nationwide distribution of PMS and diesel beginning 15th August?
It's a good news. I say congratulations to all of us here and the greater audience outside there. NTA is a veritable platform, leading media house in Nigeria historically, and even still doing very well. And this is the right place to convey the message to the most critical stakeholders in the value chain, which is the end consumers and the retailers, because they are the two focus in this conversation. The end consumers, retailers, you and me, who just drive to petrol stations to buy petrol, and then the retailers are the petrol station owners in Nigeria. These are the two most critical focus in this conversation. So the good news is that for the first time in the energy history of Nigeria, a manufacturer, that is the layman language, Dangote Refinery is a manufacturer. He buys raw material, which is called crude oil, from people who produce crude oil anywhere in the world, including Nigeria. And he has built a mega refinery. When you have opportunity to visit there in Lagos, you will be humbled by what one brain has done in this country. You will be humbled with his team, because a tree does not make a forest, with his brilliant team. So now he has built a refinery, a mega refinery that you cannot find anywhere in the world. And he now feeds in the crude and produce petrol. He produces diesel. He produces Jet A1. He produces cooking gas and many other ranges, black carbon for the tire industry, and the inkjet you are using here, the raw material is produced by Dangote. And he produces sulfur, the raw material for sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is used for fertilizer. Sulfuric acid is used for alum, the alum you use to purify your water. So ranges, he produces polymer. Polymer is the base for all the plastic you are carrying up and down. Polymer is used in almost everything in the aircraft manufacturing. So having said that, how will he get this product delivered across the country? So the old order, the structure we were running before in the energy sector in Nigeria, particularly petrol and diesel, was that there are middlemen. You can call them wholesalers. They take product in the olden days from Nigeria refinery, from the government-owned refineries, from imports. They hold it in their tank farm. They now haulage it. So at a point, General Gowon said, look, let us unify the price of petrol in Nigeria across the whole country. And then they set up Equalization Fund in 1973-75 by decree 9, I think. They now unify the price of petrol, the same price in Lagos, the same price in Maiduguri. But that will bring about bridging costs, because if you truck from Lagos to Maiduguri, who pays for that gap?
Cost, yeah.
And government did not have enough trucks to do that. So people don't know that in the value chain there are many things involved. If you want to move product from Lagos or from Benue to Lagos, you need truck, you need human being that will handle it, logistic, you need holding points. So now they now started that regime like that, and then the cost was being borne by government. So when you add on that cost to the unit cost of petrol, you can imagine what it means. But government was burning that gap, that bridging cost. Now, over time, because of inefficiency, because of corruption, because of discretionary power, that bridging cost became a big cancer for the country. So Dangote now came and said, look, cool, come. If you, the depot owners, don't want to take product from me directly to the retail outlets in Nigeria, okay, I design my own logistic. I will bring my trucks, 4,000, the first set, and I will use clean fuel, which is CNG. That's the only way the presidential initiative on CNG can succeed. When you have large-scale participants like that directly, that's the only way. The other scheme they are doing with small cars, it will not work. But this one with heavy trucks that consume a lot is the best, because you are going to remove all the diesels on our road now. Then the drivers that used to steal diesel, no more diesel to steal, because you can't steal CNG. So these trucks now will take petrol from the gantry, the loading gantry of Dangote Refinery, direct to your petrol station in your village. Because your petrol station in your village, we pay now. We pay for the volume he needs direct to Dangote. Dangote will now deliver to you with GPS. He will Google where your petrol station is. He will come there and deliver to you. Straight. So no more depot owner in the middle who now add on. So all
what
the
does it mean in terms of naira and kobo for the ordinary Nigerian?
It will reduce the average cost per liter. It will also stabilize the price. So because the same price you buy in Lagos, you will buy in Maiduguri, because he has captured the cost in his transportation for you. Because CNG, that truck will cover 1,400 kilometers before he will refuel. So that means the sheer scale, and the saving of not using diesel or petrol to power the truck will now bring an average cost that is minimal. So you and me will get stable petrol, very steady, and at minimal cost.
Okay, so
it will not be oscillating like this anymore. So if the international price for crude goes too high, yes, he will modulate his price also in accordance with the input of his raw material, but it will not be, you and me will not suffer this level of vagaries that you just wake up.
So this process now is bringing stability to
it will bring stability to the marketplace.
To the marketplace.
Yes, for the first time.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Now, because I know that there's a lot of agitation, especially now, amongst these petroleum tankers association and all that. How is the organization going to allay their fears? How is it intent to bring them in so as to douse, this tension that is brewing?
Thank you very much. This conversation here is revolution. But many Nigerians cannot know the meaning yet. It's a big revolution.
It is.
So that critical gap you just mentioned now, the people who occupy that gap between petrol import and petrol depot owners and the trucking
retailers,
the trucking end of it, their business has plateaued. In the life cycle of man, we plateau.
Okay.
I'm 67 now. By the time I'm 70 something, I have plateaued. So I need to regrow. I need to teach my children to please take the graph for me and start growing it again. Because me, I'm plateau, I will decline. So that is how the product life cycle of every industry is. Human being were like that.
But these days, people don't decline at 70 any longer.
No. This decline does not mean maybe you will just decline like that, but you have plateaued.
Okay.
Your level
okay, you're at a standstill.
Yes. So now the industry they are into, the depot owners, that industry, that segment of the oil and gas industry has plateaued. So there's a new, the paradigm shift is that they need to regrow their business. They have to go to their inner rooms and rethink. They have to think out of the box of how they are going to now reinvent themselves. They either go and find a way to collaborate with Dangote, the big disruptor who has come to the marketplace, or they go for Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is bankruptcy. They declare bankruptcy. Okay, then government may find a way to give them a landing, They have to find their way, but it's not. This thing is not by fight. It's a natural sequence in life.
Is Dangote refinery open to this kind of?
Of course, in the last 2 years, he has been telling them the problem is the regulator, the midstream, downstream regulatory authority of Nigeria. They are very weak. The structure there is weak. They are not proactive.
Okay.
I say this with all authority and sense of responsibility. So if you need a strong regulator who understands the nature of the industry and the nature of the product and the capacity that has brought to the market, I hope you understand me.
Yeah.
That will allow you as a regulator to sit down and say, oh, look, you participant in this industry, here is the new scenario that is emerging from what this man is bringing to the market.
Okay.
Come, let us decide now. Let's create mine in our new image. Okay, so, but the regulator was sitting there with minimal apparatus, minimal capacity to do anything, and was in fact even insinuating that the refinery of Dangote was not even ready. The regulator were saying like this, gentlemen, Mr. President, I pleaded with President Tinubu on television across the world that he should please visit that refinery.
It's been there.
President Tinubu visited that refinery the same day Bill Gates came. I was there live. And President Tinubu was impressed. And since that moment, I had a very good impression of the pragmatic nature that President Tinubu behaves.
Now,
I was very happy because he demystified all the myths that have
many
been attached.
Nigerians are asking, will this move lead to a drop in fuel pump price across the country? How soon will that happen?
Please let me go back to basic economics. Basic economics and commerce from our secondary school. Nigeria is a country that economic literacy is very low. Why? In England, a child in primary school knows the meaning of interest rate. So he knows that things are not just the way we are talking. So the cost of petrol will be determined by the cost of crude oil, the raw material. The main raw material to produce petrol is crude oil. So if the crude oil price is good, like $50 per barrel, the output will be cheap in Nigeria because you have a big refinery that can mass produce the petrol for you. If the cost of petrol, of crude, as the case now between Iran and Israel, if the cost of petrol goes to, of crude goes to $80 or $100, the modulation in the calculation of Dangote refinery, because he's buying most of the crude in dollars from abroad, okay? So the price will also go up a bit. But the stability you are having in this country today is what I have been saying. Supply security is a major thing that determines whether price will go up or not. Then volume availability is another issue. So you remember in the olden days, they will say, oh, don't panic, don't go, don't this. The person telling you don't panic, he is already panicking. Because he does not know whether his vessels that are bringing product will arrive full or half full. You understand me now? So Dangote refinery is not about whether the price will be low, because this is the mentality, the general mentality of Nigeria is about price low.
Because that's what impacts them directly.
No, it's a wrong perception. We must correct it, and the media must help to correct it. So it is the stability of the price that they should be talking about, the availability of that product. All of us must work hard to increase our GDP, our per capita income. We must be more productive so that price will become too irrelevant to us. Not too relevant. I hope you understand what I mean by that. So, to answer your question, you want lower price. If crude is cheap, Dangote petrol will be cheap.
Okay.
And the mini refineries that are coming up in Nigeria, they will also help to stabilize the price. Why? They will bring out products. If at all they could do PMS, but some of them, I'm aware Edo refinery is trying to come up very soon. So if they are able to bring something out, we will have price stability, but not as low as you may be thinking. But if crude price go down, Dangote can bring down price also to even 600 naira per liter.
Okay, that's our prayer anyway, Mr. Kule. Now, how does this initiative, no doubt, is highly commendable, but what measures are in place to monitor and also to evaluate the success of this initiative. Do you have
okay, two things.
Yes.
The regulator has a role. The midstream downstream regulatory authority, they have a role. Technical, safety, commercial regulation by law. That's their responsibility. Commercial regulation means the pricing mechanism, you know, and then technical regulation means all the vehicles must comply. Okay, and then the petrol stations must comply. Safety, HSC, okay, fire, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, now so Dangote is bringing brand new trucks. He's not sitting here to say, oh, let me now convert my old truck from diesel to CNG. No. So in terms of safety, those trucks, they have been certified both by Standard Organization of Nigeria and the manufacturer standard internationally, whether it's by Japan standard or DAI, German standard, or America IMST standard, all they have been certified as safe to be on the road. Okay, so safety is okay. The drivers are being trained. Dangote is training the largest pool of drivers and technicians in this country. People don't know what the guy is doing. They need to know. That's why I like this program. They need to know. Even if I do nothing more than just to be educating people about the marvelous job this guy is doing, I don't care. Because he's training the largest pool of technicians and drivers that will know how to use the road safely so that the road can be more friendly. Currently, you see all the trucks on the road. The emission from them alone is incredible. That means our air is heavily polluted. So when he brings this 4,000 will displace minimum of 8,000 old trucks from our road in 2-3 years. It's transition. You will not see those old trucks anymore in 2-3 years time.
Okay, it's in phases.
Yeah, it's in phases because they will now go out. But these 4,000 will be ejected now.
Okay.
And the whole landscape will just change.
Okay.
So, and they are clean. You and me, you can breathe a better air. That is the whole essence of climate. Climate is to reduce the amount of sulfur and the amount of carbon in the air.
What about
so that
the
you and me
risks?
can live longer.
What about the risks associated with deploying a fleet of 4,000 in terms of logistics and regulatory, challenges?
My brother, this is still part of what we are saying. The regulatory authority today, they regulate PPMC. All the pipeline federal government built since in the 70s and 80s today to move product from one depot to another, from Lagos, from Atlas Cope to Ejigbo, to Mosimi, to Ibadan, to Ore, to Auchi, to Suleja here, to Kaduna, to Kano, to Guso, to Gombe, to Maiduguri, to Yola. None of this pipeline is working anymore. So who is responsible for this? Government. The same midstream, downstream regulatory authority are the one who superintend over this infrastructure. They are not working. All the depots are not working. So what alternative do you have? It was in our eye, in my eye, in this country that we killed railway. South Africa still maintain Spoonet in South Africa still maintain the narrow gauge.
No, I'm saying what challenges do you envisage? Because we don't have a lot of time.
I'm coming. So the only alternative you have as of today, your river roads are not working. River roads, you dredge the River Niger, capital dredging, no maintenance dredging. So barges cannot go on them. So the only alternative you have in this country today, you and me, is to be on the road.
Okay, Mr. Kule.
Because you cannot carry petrol by air. You cannot carry petrol to anywhere in this country today except by road.
Is there no challenge?
Mr. Kule,
the challenge will be tackled. It's not all you and me. We are desk officers. You are not out there.
Mr.
The guys that are out there are getting things done.
Okay.
Go on the road and see guys. They don't sleep, even though in spite of the insecurity, guys are on the road.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Kule.
You know what you are using will not be delivered to you in this country. What you and me are consuming this Abuja. Who delivers it?
Okay.
By road.
Okay. As we wind up this conversation this morning, I just want us to, just in 1 minute, tell us the impact. The impact of this initiative to grow and develop other key sectors like manufacturing and telecommunications.
Thank you very much. This refinery and all the output from the refinery,
Yes.
Dangote refinery, in science is called a catalytic project.
Okay.
It's catalytic.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a vibrant ripple effect positively on many industries. I just mentioned earlier when we started. Okay, the telecom can get their diesel directly now from Dangote refinery. They just need to plan their volume on daily, on weekly, on monthly basis, and lodge it with him and pay. He will deliver to them. So that means the telecom, all the vagaries that IHS, all of them have been having with their base stations in diesel supply, that one is removed. So the same thing with the big manufacturers, the same thing with the big construction companies like Julius Baja. So instead of them giving purchase order to people to go and bring diesel that they are not sure of the quality of the diesel, now that one is over. They will get Euro 5, Euro 6 petrol from Dangote directly, or diesel. And that will enhance the performance of their equipment, because these are high standard petrol for high standard engines.
All right.
So I think it's catalytic. So many industry will come up. The tire industry can come back now because it produces carbon black.
So I think we have to leave the conversation here because we've run out of time completely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dandi Kunle is a former privatization advisor and senior technical advisor to the Minister of State for Gas, former privatization advisor at BPE, and now energy advisor and governance consultant. We thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank
So
you very
that's
much.
the program. We thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I am Victor Azu.
And I'm Ademola. Enjoy the rest of the day. Listen.